Welcome to The Kingdom, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics and a land defended by Sir Ross's Knights. Now here's your host, Rocco Geppi.
Hello, Knights Nation. Rocco Geppi here for the Kingdom podcast. I hope you are well and staying safe. This is Season 2, Episode number 12, our first episode of 2021. And so I know it's late, but let me wish everyone a Happy New Year. And I hope your holiday season was joyful and enjoyable. Today we have a once a night, always a night interview with Erin Moran, former women's soccer and women's lacrosse student athlete. Since this episode was recorded, Erin has graduated with her Bachelor of Fine Arts from St. Mary's College of Maryland, so a huge congratulations to her. Let's not waste any more time. Here's my once a night, always a night interview with Erin Moran. Rocco Geppi here for the Kingdom Podcast with another edition of Once a Night, Always a Night. And today it is my pleasure to be joined by our guest, Erin Moran. She was in the Kingdom from 2015 to 2018. Women's soccer, women's lacrosse student athlete. Erin, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me on, Rocco.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So what's going on? What are you up to these days?
I'm finishing up college and I will get my fine arts degree in graphic design, and with an anthropology minor, I will be job searching for a graphic design job.
Excellent. Now tell me, because I myself, and this is I did something similar. I did a where people were asking me what kind of major to minor is that? I did a communication major with a history minor, and people were kind of puzzled about that. So explain to me the anthropology major to go with graphic design. Is that just your interest in anthropology, or is there an MO there?
I took an anthropology course as an extracurricular, and I really liked the professor, and she talked me into an anthropology minor just to add on to the degree. So I really had an interest in anthropology.
And it makes it a whole lot easier to select your electives too. Like, you don't have to take as many electives.
Yes.
So let's dive in here to some of your time on the field. Reading your stats here, you got here fall of 2015. Unfortunately, 3 games into the soccer season, you suffer a season-ending injury. The following year in the fall of 2016, I believe it was in the summer, you suffer an injury again and cannot play soccer. But that year you did play lacrosse. You were healed and rehabbed and everything by the spring of 2017. So in 2017, you play lacrosse. Fall of 2017, you get to make your full season debut as a member of the Knights soccer team, and I think you could not have done much better. 31 goals, led the region in the conference, and you were 4th in the nation. And then you continue on with the lacrosse that spring in 2018, scoring 21 goals. You were 3rd on the team. Oddly enough, as we discussed earlier, off camera or off air rather, 31 career goals in soccer, 31 career goals in lacrosse. Take me through your injuries and the adversity that you faced with those injuries, and how you were able to not only rehab and get back on the field, but how those injuries fueled your rehab and your determination.
So I started off with a broken foot, and then I had the 2 ACL tears. It was a lot easier to come back the second time from the ACL tear because I knew a little more what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And I just really wanted to play sports at the end of the day. So working hard to get back to playing sports was really important to me. And although a very long process, it was worth it in the end. And I'm really excited I was able to play at CCBC.
What did you, because it's got to be, you're a local product, you're Perry Hall resident, Perry Hall High School. We've known each other for a few years now. Like, I know, I've seen the the joy and the look on your face when you're able to be out there. Um, does that process, is it any easier because you are local and not only is everything kind of at your disposal because of that, but you have family and friends and everybody that can kind of come and watch you play after you get through the rehab and everything. Like how does stuff like that factor
That's a good question. It's nice to have everybody come to watch me play, but I know they would still come watch me play even if it's like further away, like a video, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I follow you.
So I mean, it makes it all worth it in the end because it's really nice to see my family and friends able to see me play again because it's exciting.
So in 2017, we mentioned you finally you get back on the pitch full time. 31 goals. You lead the region and the conference. You're fourth in the nation. How did it feel to not only get through a soccer season without injury, but to rank as one of the best goal scorers in the nation?
I felt really good, and to make it through a season, that was even better. It was great. I had an awesome team that year, and we worked together, and it was great. It was definitely a season I'll never forget.
Oh, it was. It was. If it wasn't for those pesky owls, I tell you. I'm talking to Erin Moran, former women's soccer, women's lacrosse student athlete here in the Kingdom. We're going to hit a quick break. You're listening to the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics.
Let's talk about college.
Times have changed.
We've changed.
I refuse to accept an education that comes with a mountain of crippling debt.
No longer will I stay stuck in a job because college has no time for me.
I will not confuse a fancy name for a quality education. Sorry, Pops.
Let's talk practical.
Let's talk flexible.
Let's talk smart education.
Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online at ccbcmd.edu and see what you can be.
Welcome back. I'm Rocco Geppi. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Here's the second and final part of my once a night, always a night interview with Erin Moran. We're back here on the Kingdom Podcast. Rocco Geppi alongside Erin Moran, women's soccer, women's lacrosse student athlete 2015 to 2018. Here on another installment of Once a Night, Always a Night. Erin, two-sport athlete, but as far as lacrosse, you hadn't played lacrosse since your freshman year of high school. Tell us why you decided to play.
So I actually originally wasn't going to play, but the coach reached out to me, and she reached out to a few other soccer players, and I thought it would be really fun to play lacrosse with my friends in college, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made because I ended up really liking lacrosse again, and it was really fun to play with my friends.
That's very cool. It was a very interesting year that year. Your sophomore year was you ended up splitting your time with coaches because we had a transition. Your freshman year was Emily McBee, and then as a sophomore, first-year head coach Candace Schroeder. What was that like? Were there some differences between those two coaches?
There was definitely a difference. I loved playing for both coaches.
It was definitely a good time in the history of women's lacrosse. We had, for the previous two seasons, the year before your freshman year and then your freshman year, the team was right on the cusp of turning things around. They played one game below 500 both seasons, and then your sophomore year, you guys are able to finish above 500 with a winning record for the first time. I want to say it was the first time since 2012, so it had been like 5 or 6 seasons. Again, that season, the pesky Owls get in the way in the regional semifinals this time. Clipping us down, but it was definitely a good season, one that I think to this day the program still remembers because that was the turning point, I think, for women's lacrosse at Essex getting back to that success. You ended up ended up being very productive in lacrosse. You finished, as we stated earlier, 31 career goals, 16 assists. In your second year, you were third on the team with 21 goals, and there were some really high-powered goal scorers in that team. Alexis Corbett-Finnical and Mackenzie Lane that year with you. Why do you think lacrosse came so naturally, or did it? Was this something that, we all know that you're athletic. Was this something that you were athletic, but then you had to work at the skill portion of the game?
Well, my first season, I was still trying to learn lacrosse and pick it back up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think putting in all the work that season, I really learned the game again. And I think it definitely helped me my second season, where I was a lot more confident on the ball, a lot more confident on the field. And I think it was a great season.
All right. So we'll remember you for a lot of reasons, as we tend to with many of our student athletes. But the number one reason, however, was your commitment to volunteerism. You were also recognized in 2015-16 academic season as the female recipient of the CCBC Essex Community Service Award, which was really fun for me because I was surprised to be the recipient of the Staff Community Service Award, which you and Tyler Oblong presented me with, much to my surprise, on stage as I was emceeing the banquet that year. Talk about your volunteering and why it was and is so important to you.
I absolutely loved volunteering when we went to Colgate, and it was just, I love just being with the kids, and it was just a lot of fun. And I was able to go with the fellow student athletes, which was really nice because we all bonded over that. We bonded over volunteering, and it was great. And then on the weekends, volunteering with those children, that was a whole nother experience. And I still talk about it today, how I miss volunteering with everybody because it was such a great time.
It is, and I think what you were referring to is the Children Developmental Center on Saturday mornings, and it's very it's fun in the moment. We try and make of it what we can and have fun, and then later on when we get the feedback, I don't know how many of you all I've told this to, but the principals both at Colgate and now we have extended the program to Mars Estates, which is right up the street from the Kingdom. The feedback that we get, I mean, you guys are like superstars when we bring you in there. You may as well be, Ronaldo or Messi, because the kids don't know any different. They're the Title I schools. We see and we hear what some of these children have to endure day in and day out, and so for you all, for me, for us to be able to go in there and contribute to that break from their regular reality and give them that time of fun and that time of, I was given feedback that they would talk about our visits for a week, and by the time they were done talking about that visit, we were on our next visit. Do you guys know? I mean, I'm sure you do because you have a couple examples of some children that you were able to bond with there. Does that resonate? Like, do you really know the impact that you're making, or is it something that it comes back in moments like this where I give you this feedback and then it all starts to hit like, wow, this really did mean a lot to those kids?
Nothing's better than when you go back to the school and they remember who you are and they just get so excited. And you're making an impact in their little lives, and you hope that you are a good influence and they take what you say to heart and really use that in their future. Like, you're making a difference, but it's really something great. And I'm really bonded with this one little girl who was having a hard time, and I always think about her because I wonder where she is and what she's doing. It was great. I love volunteering so much.
That's awesome. We had some good times, that's for sure. The van rides were always fun. Um, so to finish things off for you here, Erin, question that I have asked all of our once a night, always a night interviews, and so I'll ask you to give me your top 3 moments from your time at CCBC Essex.
I think that my top 3 moments were when the soccer team traveled to New York and we were able to go to Niagara Falls.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that was so fun because I've never been to Niagara Falls, and I was with all my friends and we were able to, take a lot of pictures and really soak up that experience. And the traveling for soccer was just so fun. And my second would probably be scoring a bunch of goals for soccer. And that was really fun. And my third would probably be receiving the Female Athlete Award that year because I worked really hard with my team and everything. And coming back from injuries, it was just really an honor to receive that award.
Very cool. Yeah, the trips up to New York are always better in the fall. I was lucky enough a couple seasons ago to go with women's lacrosse when they went up to upstate New York, and it was in the 30s and 40s, and the second game of our weekend was snowed out because overnight they got 4 inches of snow in that part of Buffalo, which was only like 20 miles away from where we were staying, and their field could not be played upon. So always a fun time. And I too got to see Niagara Falls for the first time. Of course, I was in my late 30s seeing it for the first time. So count those blessings now that you get to see some of that stuff. It's really cool.
Indeed.
All right. Well, Erin, listen, good luck down the home stretch. We're always cheering for you here. And with that degree, and of course, if you need anything along the way, you make sure to give us a call. We'll help you out.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's Erin Moran, former women's soccer and women's lacrosse student athlete on Once a Night, Always a Night here on the Kingdom Podcast. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to the Kingdom Podcast, a podcast dedicated to CCBC Essex Athletics.
Let's talk about college. Times have changed, and I say no to an education at the cost of crippling debt. Because paying off student loans for the next 30 years is not in my financial plans.
Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online and see what you can be.
Times have changed, and I will not stay stuck in a job because college has no time for me. I will not let a limited schedule limit me.
Rethink what's possible with CCBC. Visit us online and see what you can be.
We are back to the Kingdom Podcast, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to Season 2, Episode number 12. We'll be back next week with a former men's lacrosse All-American. You might be asking yourself who, and I can't tell you that, but I can give you a hint, so try and follow this with me here. Some of the benefits of this fruit are it is high in antioxidants, may boost immunity, may support eye health, and it is native to the Asian continent. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, tune in next week to find out who our guest will be in Once a Night, Always a Night. Make sure you follow us on social media. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at CCBC Essex Sports, and you can find us on Facebook and YouTube, which is important because that's where you're going to find these podcast episodes. Just keyword search CCBC Essex Athletics. Make sure you visit us online at ccbcessexnights.com. And if you forget any of this information, don't fret. All of our social media links are in the description of this episode. My thanks again to Erin Moran for joining us on the show today. I hope you'll join us next week, folks. Until then, so long and stay safe.